covering news where you live. This is 5 News at 6.
Thanks for joining us for your 5 News at 6. I'm Darren Bobb. Our team coverage begins with 5 News reporter Catherine Gilker live at the state capitol following the race to be the next state governor. Catherine?
Sarah Huckabee Sanders' election night watch party is about to start here at the State House Convention Center. We are waiting on the candidate to arrive. Earlier today, I was able to speak with all 3 candidates about how they're feeling on their final day of campaigning. Sanders cast her vote this morning in Little Rock. Afterwards, she told us she feels really good about where she is and is confident she will get a victory. Democratic candidate Chris Jones hit the road today campaigning in southwest Arkansas, saying he has put in the work visiting all parts of Arkansas and feels great. Libertarian candidate Ricky Dale Harrington Jr. spent the day in Pine Bluff and says we need to start working for the people of Arkansas rather than political power.
Phasing out the state income tax and rewarding hard work. Those are not divisive issues. Those are anything but. Those are things that literally help bring opportunity to every single person. And that's the message that we're going to continue talking about. And those are going to be the policies that we implement in making Arkansas the best place to live, work, and raise a family.
High quality education is important. You have to start with pre-K. Infrastructure is important, but you have to start with broadband, and real economic development in every corner of the state is important, but you have to start with jobs. Even with that, though, the most important thing that is necessary in this moment, I believe, because I've heard it from Arkansans, is to create in Arkansas, to create a government that's inclusive.
I'm a nobody, and right now I'm standing alongside major party candidates, and I've been defending my ideas and talking to the people, and if they can see me as a serious candidate alongside those major party candidates, give me a chance. Cast your vote for me.
Guests are starting to gather here at the State House Convention Center. We are being told that Sanders won't arrive here until the governor's race has been called. Chris Jones is having a watch party just down the street at the Robinson Center. I'm live in Little Rock covering news where you live. Catherine Gilker, 5 News.
All right, Catherine, thanks. Arkansas will also elect a new lieutenant governor today. Leslie Rutledge, who is currently the attorney general, is the Republican nominee for that spot. She's facing Democrat Kelly Kraut and Libertarian Frank Gilbert. It is expected to be a tight race for Oklahoma governor. Incumbent Kevin Stitt finds himself in a surprisingly tough re-election campaign against Democrat Joy Hoffmeister, who is the state school superintendent. Meanwhile, Natalie Bruno is running on the Libertarian ticket. Irvin Yin is on the independent ticket. Another big issue on the ballot, of course, is legalizing recreational marijuana. 5 News reporter Michael Wilson has been following this story for the last month or so and has more on a final pitch now that both supporters and opponents are wanting to make to voters tonight. Micah?
Hey, Darren, we're going to hear from those for and against a little bit later, but if approved, issue 4, it would allow for those 21 and up to start purchasing marijuana for recreational use, and medical dispensaries like the one behind me, well, they would be able to start selling for recreational use, and then they would be awarded an additional license to sell for recreational use. And after that, there would be a lottery system in place to allow for 40 additional dispensaries to get their license, allowing for up to 120 dispensaries statewide if approved. Now, the amendment would also eliminate the current sales tax for medical use and instead tax recreational marijuana up to 16.5%. Now, 10% of that would be an added tax used to fund a yearly stipend to go to law enforcement officers, the University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences, drug court programs, and the state's general fund. That would go to help pay for those overseeing the program as well as license. And with a little more than an hour left to go and vote, those for and against give their final pitches to voters.
They wrote their own tax rate. They set it at about half what it is in Colorado. And they said, and oh, by the way, the legislature can't change that. They said no local government can change it. So this idea that somehow, well, we'll pass it, it may not be perfect, and we'll fix it, that's not going to happen.
But here in Arkansas, we're really excited to give this an opportunity for let the voters decide tonight, not the politicians, not what happens in Little Rock, but on the ballot box. And that's the important thing, is for voters to decide.
Now, if this amendment does pass, it wouldn't go into effect until November 18th, but consumers, they want to be able to start purchasing it until at the earliest March 8th, 2023. For now, we're live here in Rogers, covering news where you live. Michael Wilson, 5 News.
All right, Micah, thanks. Arkansas and Oklahoma both already among the states that have legalized medical use of marijuana. Arkansas, one of 5 states deciding on the issue of recreational marijuana tonight. Meanwhile, Oklahoma voters are set to decide next year on legalizing recreational marijuana. Voters in 3 counties are deciding on jail expansion proposals tonight. 5 News reporter Rachel Williams spoke with people for and against these expansion projects. She continues our team coverage live outside the Washington County Jail tonight. Rachel?
Those proposals are here in Washington, Benton, and Madison counties. All 3 report that their jails are overcrowded. In Washington County, the sheriff has said for several years the jail exceeds its design and operating capacities. If approved, millions in bonds would be paid by a 0.25% sales tax. That would expire once those bonds were paid. In Benton County, Rogers and Lowell Chamber of Commerce's president and CEO say they're for the jail expansion, and it's especially important as the area grows.
Obviously, the more people we have in the long term, we're going to have far more people than our jail will ever be able to accommodate, and we have to plan for the long term.
Opponents of the jail expansion say the counties have not explored other options that could reduce the number of inmates inside the jail. 5 News spoke to the Arkansas Justice Reform Coalition Director Sarah Moore, who says the timing is not right for a jail expansion due to inflation, increased fuel costs, and higher interest rates. Moore says the pretrial services are the best practice from the Department of Justice.
In Washington County, there was an assessment that was done, given to us in August of 2020, and that was one of the main recommendations. They've said that anywhere from 200 to 300 beds could safely be emptied at the jail. Similar results can happen in Benton County, and there's alternatives in Madison County as well that could be pursued.
In Benton County, there are 2 sales tax items on the ballot. One would go towards expanding the Benton County jail, and the other one would go towards expenses related to the jail. Now, the polls are open until 7:30 tonight, and if you're in line by 7:30, your vote will still count. Live in Washington County, covering news where you live, Rachel Williams, 5 News.
All right, Rachel, thanks. Another local election issue getting a lot of attention is a plan to allow alcohol sales on Sundays in Rogers and Bentonville. Supporters say it'll keep tax dollars in the cities that are going to nearby towns that already allow alcohol sales on Sunday. It needs a simple majority to pass in both cities. Arkansans now have just about an hour to cast ballots. Our team coverage continues with 5 News reporter Ian Taylor, who's live in Rogers now with a closer look at voter turnout so far. Ian?
Hey Darren, we're approaching the final hour left to cast your vote with thousands of people visiting voting centers across the area. Now early voting ended yesterday and much of the state saying it's outpacing the 2018 midterms. In Arkansas, midterms typically only see about 50% of registered voters, thousands waiting until Election Day. Both Crawford and Sebastian counties have had steady streams of voters today and have not reported any issues at the polls. A similar story in Benton and Washington counties, where they haven't seen any major hiccups. With people getting off work, long lines are expected at polling locations tonight. Washington County Director of Elections Jennifer Price says that's expected during a midterm.
People are so worried about lines that they definitely make early voting a priority for a presidential year. And then when it comes to a midterm election, they are thinking about early voting, and we get certainly a large number of early voters, but they actually show up and vote on Election Day at a higher rate than we see for a presidential year.
Now, voting centers will close at 7:30 this evening, so you want to be sure that you're in line before then. Similar to the folks behind me, as long as you're in line by 7:30 tonight, that will ensure that your vote will count. After that, results will start to come in. We're live in Rogers, covering news where you live. Ian Taylor, 5 News.
All right, Ian, thanks. As vote totals start coming in, you can track results to all local races on our website and smartphone app. We'll also bring you the latest throughout the night right here on Channel 5, starting with updates at around 7:25 this evening. Republicans hoping to shift the balance of power in Congress. A look at some of the races expected to determine the majority for the next 2 years.